The Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul press conference started with verbal exchanges, but quickly spiraled into chaos. What was meant to be promotion turned intense, as rising tension led to physical confrontation, leaving the event disorganized and out of control.
Will definitely come and join us.
Uh-oh, there's some pushing going on.
Security guards pushing each other as well up there. That we don't want to see. There's a couple of
we don't want to see a brawl there.
We don't want to see.
Hey.
Anthony Joshua makes it clear that he is not approaching this fight as entertainment. His words and demeanor show that this bout is about competition, dominance, and proving himself inside the ring. He stresses that this is not an exhibition or crossover spectacle, but a serious fight where experience, discipline, and power outweigh hype. Joshua believes the challenge is being underestimated and is determined to remind everyone of his level.
I'm going to break his face. I'm going to break his body up. I'm going to stomp all over him. That's my mentality, right? That's a fighter's mentality. And I know what's in my heart. I know what's in my mind. And I'm here to compete. I'm here to prove myself that I'm the better fighter. So I'm looking forward to it. And
the mood shifts when Joshua addresses the issue of respect. The atmosphere tightens as he draws a firm line, making it clear he will no longer tolerate disrespect from Jake Paul. He compares the situation to the Francis Ngannou fight, signaling that the outcome will be equally unforgiving. His message is calm, direct, and leaves no doubt about the seriousness of fight night.
I'm back. I've done it with the Ngannou fight, and I'm going to do it again. I understand the expectation. I don't carry it, because the expectation I have of myself is already enough, but I understand it, I acknowledge it, and I respect it. But that's about it as far as outside.
Eddie Hearn responds to the chaos surrounding both the press conference and the fight. He explains that Jake Paul understands the punishment he may face once the fight begins. With major financial investments already made, there's no turning back. Hearn emphasizes that Jake must now accept the consequences of stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua.
No, I mean, look,
how
they've
ludicrous
spent,
it is that they're fighting.
Netflix have spent a lot of money, MVP have spent a lot of money, and Jake would look like a plonker if he pulled out the fight now after giving it the big one. And he knows that, and this fight's happening, you know, and that they think, look, one thing I'll say is this: if there was ever a good time to fight Anthony Joshua, it's probably now, right? Coming out of what will be 14 months of inactivity. By the way, he's also been in training camp for 4 weeks or 5 weeks, the time comes around.
Despite repeated warnings, Jake Paul's confidence remains unshaken. He continues to claim he is the better boxer, arguing that Joshua's advantage exists only on paper through professional records. Jake presents himself as misunderstood and insists his ability exceeds public perception. Mentally, he does not view himself as the underdog, regardless of the experience gap.
And how has the approach in terms of strategy and preparation been for this fight? Because most of your fights, since you don't have as much of experience as your opponents, you've made up with youth and size. For this one, you know, you're fighting somebody that's prime, somebody that's bigger than you. So how has that change been?
Yeah, on paper, the cards are stacked against me. But really, in terms of boxing, I'm a better boxer than AJ, which is like hilarious to state. But he's got 2 left feet. He's stiff. If I was his coach, I'd put him in a dance class first before trying to box. And really just bringing in the right sparring partners to help me prepare so that I can get looks that are similar to him, and that's really just been the strategy. But I'm just going to go.
Insight from Alexander Usyk's camp reveals significant changes in Joshua's preparation. After their fight, Joshua was advised to evolve his style rather than rebuild. He agreed and chose to work with Usyk's team, focusing on improved movement, ring intelligence, and refinement. The camp believes this version of Joshua will look noticeably different against Jake Paul.
About you need AJ, you need something change, you know. And okay, come and train in camp and see what we do. And Jay, come. Now we're here and supper.
Weight management becomes another key topic ahead of the fight. For the first time, Joshua has adjusted his weight strategy in an unfamiliar way. Despite this, those around the camp say he looks strong, composed, and powerful. It is emphasized that Joshua still carries fight-ending power, something Jake Paul will struggle to handle.
Miscalculation from Jake's team. I think that their best chance was having AJ be a bit more stagnant and not being able to move as fluidly and as well, so that Jake could be a bit faster, so that he could be a bit more elusive, and that AJ would have a harder time tracking him. Not to say that, you know, at a certain point he wouldn't get him, but that would be the idea. The bigger, way slower AJ at like 260 or whatever, 255 plus. What Jake is saying, though, doesn't make any sense to me. When he's like, oh, I think it was a miscalculation for them to agree, I assume is what he means, for AJ to get to 245 so that he's lighter, all that, that's a I think it was a miscalculation. That's a disadvantage to AJ's power somehow. AJ's not stripping away muscle to get to 245. He's just not as bulky, heavy as he normally would be. And AJ has fought at this weight before in the Usyk fights, as Jake pointed out. And this is not something that took away from AJ's power. The reason he didn't beat Usyk wasn't because he didn't have power. Usyk was just better. Point blank period, he's the best in the world. Jake is not Usyk. Jake can take bits and pieces of Alexander Usyk, but he's not that. And AJ's power will still be devastating at 245, just like it would be at 255 or 260. Him taking that 10 pounds away and by the way, it wasn't like he did a cut to try to make the weight. He is that weight right now. A lighter version, a more speedy, compact version of AJ, he's still going to hit like a Mack truck. He didn't just lose all that muscle and all that ability to turn punches over. That's still going to be there. And if Jake thinks that AJ needs to be 260 for AJ to knock him out, that's also fucking crazy. Now, Jake says something even more insane to me than the fact that, oh, AJ made a miscalculation getting to 245. He says that his skills are better than AJ's. And I just don't know where the evidence of that is. Like, I understand Jake is confident in himself, but point to me a fight where Jake showed better skill. I don't see it. And again, Jake is always telling us how he never gets to show.
True Jordy explains why this matchup is especially dangerous for Jake Paul. Jake had been preparing for a much smaller opponent for a long time before suddenly switching focus to Anthony Joshua. This late change requires a complete overhaul of strategy. Joshua's size, strength, and pressure alter every aspect of preparation, raising serious concerns about Jake's readiness.
Literally millions of people run just to get to that level, just to show that bravery. Fair fucks to Jake Paul. Now let's get real. Now it's time to get really serious, because this is worrying, this. I think the way that he has gone about this fight, it's just wrong. The fact that he was training for Tank Davis a matter of weeks beforehand, who's a literal midget. Sorry, little person. I don't want to. And then you go from that to fighting one of the biggest, strongest, hard-hitting heavyweights in world boxing. It smacks of, I am not prepared for this, and I'm just fucking rolling the dice. And I admire it, the courage. But, like, if you're gonna do this, you have to take it as seriously as a man like Anthony Joshua deserves to be taken. And a couple of weeks of sparring, you know, a few heavyweights, that ain't serious enough for me. I've interviewed Tom Aspinall. He exclusively trains with heavyweights because he's in the heavyweight division year round. And he says heavyweight fighting, it's a different sport almost, because the consequences of making a mistake are so much more diabolical that you have to train differently. And a quick turnaround like this, I mean, like, yeah, fuck it, I'll take AJ. If I was his advisors, I'd be like, look, if you insist on fucking doing this nonsense, because this is crazy, we're gonna take a good 6 to 12 months solid training with heavyweights. We're gonna fucking make sure that you are strong. You can't pivot from fighting a 135 pounder to a 245 pounder. My God, to 110 pound difference or something. You can't just pivot quickly like that. This needs to be systematic. We need to prepare. And the people around him, by just allowing him to just take this so quickly, obviously Jake Paul brings in a lot of money for everyone who's associated with him. I just can't think they're giving him good advice. And unfortunately, you know, when you're in the situation where you're the money man, backslap as an arse kisser.
Simon Jordan sharply criticizes Jake Paul's approach, comparing him to Wild E. Coyote, constantly overestimating himself. He argues that confidence without substance can be dangerous, and that Joshua represents a reality check hype cannot protect against. Jordan believes tactics that worked before will fail against a fighter of Joshua's caliber.
So we know that this is an entertainment proposition. It's an event. It's not a serious boxing fight. It's only serious because Anthony Joshua has such a huge reputation. It's only serious because of the scale of money that's available to these two protagonists. Other than that, the way it plays out is Jake Paul gets knocked out. I would suspect he gets knocked out or stopped in the most harmless way, in terms of maybe he gets a body punch which takes him out and he doesn't get headhunted by Anthony Joshua, because if he gets hit by a shot that hit Francis Ngannou, he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
No two ways about it. But
it's not scripted. It's not scripted.
I don't think it's scripted, but people are.
But you're making it sound there that maybe it is slightly scripted.
No, I think it's an inevitability about what the outcome is likely to be. I think Anthony Joshua.
Every other fight's had scripted.
There's a jeopardy. There's a jeopardy that the top fights. If Anthony Joshua, and I can't inhabit the mind of an elite boxer, but I'm going to try and have an attempt at, having spoken to a lot of them recently on Talk Boxing, is that when you're fighting Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk, you are on high alert. The only thing that Anthony Joshua is on high alert about at this moment in time is his reputation if it takes too long to get rid of this twerp. But the actual jeopardy for him in terms of the damage he's likely to, he knows if Daniel Dubois hits him, he's in trouble, and he felt it and he knew it. He knew that if Alexander Usyk got into a rhythm, he was going to get his head boxed off, and there was damage for him here there. The only damage to Anthony Joshua, potentially, is not physical, is reputational wise. So there's not the same call to action mentally, despite the fact he's got a killer's mentality, and he talks about it himself.
Yeah.
He'll go in there, and I think he'll do what's required to get rid of Jake Paul.
I think it goes in there, Simon, because there's a lot riding it.
Duke McKenzie questions whether Jake Paul belongs in the same ring as Anthony Joshua. He argues that the gap in experience and understanding of boxing is too large. From his perspective, the fight moves beyond bravery into recklessness, raising concerns about safety rather than entertainment.
Amateur, champion. When you look at it and you try to balance these two up, Jake Paul's got absolutely no business being in the same ring as Anthony Joshua. He doesn't deserve to be in the same ring as Anthony Joshua. But when you look at it from a commercial perspective, he probably is generating more money than any other fighter, professional boxer on the planet right now. So you know, because you're not silly, and I know because I'm not silly, that this fight is all about one thing. It's about money. Anthony Joshua was never about to turn his back or walk away from a huge payday. He's getting in excess of 50, 60, probably $70 million or pounds. I'm not sure what the sterling is, but whatever it is, it's a damn lot of money. And there isn't a human being on this planet that would walk away from that kind of a money, which on paper, this looks like the easiest 60, 70 million that anybody could ever make. Jake Paul shouldn't have a chance against Anthony Joshua. So I would expect Joshua to quite comfortably, not even probably break sweat, and take this guy out within about 2 to 3 rounds. Because what we have to try and understand is, when you're trying to survive in a fight, which simply means you don't want to get hit, it's hard to actually knock out somebody that doesn't cooperate. So Anthony Joshua's got to make this guy cooperate, stick his chin up in the air, or give him enough reason to stick his chin up in the air. And if he doesn't hit him with a clean shot to the head, then he'll catch him with a body shot. That's probably the most obvious choice. And then I would expect Joshua to wrap this up like...
Amir Khan describes Jake Paul's decision as brave but deeply misguided. While acknowledging the courage involved, Khan believes the risk far outweighs the reward. He warns that boxing at this level is unforgiving, and that one mistake can change everything. Confidence, he argues, should never replace proper development.
Yeah, but I've got to ask you a little bit. A lot of people are saying, look, if this ain't a script, which by all accounts it's not, it's a professional fight, 8 ounce. Joshua, the only limitation they've got on him is
honestly, someone's going to get hurt badly in that fight. Like, for example, when I said someone, Jake Paul's going to get literally killed. I mean, the heavyweight champion of the world, you fight an former heavyweight world champion. I mean, is he trying to take the piss? He's biting more than he could chew. I mean, this guy is making him get hurt. And I always said there's going to come a time where a YouTuber or an influencer is going to get hurt so badly that they're going to have to stop this boxing. You can't mess with boxing, and we have to set that statement now.
Can I ask you, where we see the misfit side of it, there's like a segment for that. Jake Paul, although he's come from that world, he seems to have been training for many years, and I'm not saying he's on the level of Anthony Joshua. He's gone from 0 to 100. Everyone's saying fight a real boxer. He fought Tommy Fury and lost, but he's now going.
But respect to him because he's showing big balls,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fighters who would never want to do that, but he's showing big balls, and I respect that. But sometimes he's a bit stupid as well. You can't show a big ball.
Anthony Joshua's commitment to change stands out as a key factor. He has fully embraced a new training approach with the Usyk team, focusing on discipline, refinement, and execution rather than relying on past success. Joshua is actively improving, signaling that he is taking this fight seriously and aiming for a decisive performance.
Sport. I guess the biggest evidence that it could be rigged is the skill gap between AJ and Jake, because it's so obvious and so blatant. But I think in answering that one, in tackling whether or not I think that it could be rigged based on that factor, we have to look at the reasons why it's not rigged, because it speaks to Anthony Joshua and what he would agree to and his intentions for what he's got left in his career. I suppose that you could call me naive, you could call me wrong, but I just don't think Anthony Joshua would ever rig a fight. I really don't. Even though Anthony Joshua is for sure a businessman and someone that values the pound note more than many, he is also an athlete, he's also a competitor, he's someone who really, really cares about his legacy. We saw after he lost to Usyk for the second time, how he went in that weird rage, he chucked all the belts out the ring, he just couldn't quite swallow the loss. And seeing the way that he's seemingly been training in the videos that he's put out recently on his channel, you know, he's talked about joining Team Usyk, a team of winners, how he's envisaging this best Anthony Joshua that people will want to see in the ring, throwing combination punches, looking fantastic. He's talking about how they're pushing him as hard as they can, how they're really, really working him, how a kind coach to him is someone who pushes him beyond his limits. This is not somebody who's positioning himself to explain a loss to someone like Jake Paul. This is someone who's going in there, in my opinion, from a PR perspective with zero excuses. As someone who's going in there to win, he's talked about stomping all over Jake Paul's head and knocking him out. And I'll just give you a couple of clips from their face-off so you can understand the way that Anthony Joshua is talking.
You think Jake is on your level whatsoever?
No. No.
No, okay.
Respectfully. Because it's clear. I know the person that's in front of me, and I know that I gotta break it. That's why I said I gotta take his soul. It's not just physical, I gotta take your soul in the ring.
Only person that can do that is God.
I knew he was gonna say that.
You can see there's no sign or hint that Anthony Joshua is coming into a